All right, guys, welcome back for another market outlook. All eyes on Solana right now. We had this Forward Industries commit 1.65 billion to build a new Solana treasury yesterday. This news, which has obviously led to the price action on Solana overnight. We have Sol ETF set to be approved the first week of October. So things are looking promising, and I'm going to cover in depth my complete Sol strategy later in the video, so stick around. But before we get into that, my name is Paradise. I'm a price action momentum trader in the Mars High Club. Link in the description if you want to check that out. And also please like and subscribe to this video and hit the notification bell. All right, so starting with BTC, traffic light system, same as last week. We came up once again into that 112.8K level last night. We failed to close above it again, and we're now still compressing into this pivot level. So it's still technically in the do nothing zone. Once again, we only really want to see action taken once we get above that 112.8K level, or if any sort of rejection happens. We have CPI on Thursday, we have PPI on Wednesday. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of sort of chop around those events, but maybe people are being a bit risk off until that happens. But if we get a pop above this, that's where I'm looking to take position, as I've stated in the past. Also, if we reject from that, then we're just looking for those equal lows to be swept. This is just a local price action view. So just flicking to a more simplified chart for you guys. It's hard to be bearish right here. Like, I'm not bearish. I'm quite bullish with this compression, this current price action. The only reason I would go bearish is we started losing the weekly trend, which I've discussed at length in previous videos. We haven't even tagged it yet. So for me right now, I need to plan for upside. We have the downside scenarios as shown in the traffic light system with the 107K equal lows and lower. But I think right now, like, all we're looking for with this, pretty much just a pop above that 112.8K level. Now we get that. I think this volume inefficiency here gets filled quite quickly, and we go up to the next high volume node. This is a visible range volume profile. So this is a default indicator in TradingView. You can basically treat these high volume nodes as like basically support and resistance, I guess you could dumb it down to. You can treat these low volume nodes, these gaps, as sort of low volume areas that get filled quite quickly. So I guess you could drill it down to once price is in a low volume node, the high volume nodes sort of draw price towards them. So I think if we get that break above 112.8K, we go quite quickly up to this level at 117.3. And this is sort of the next structural level that we lost. You can see once we lost it, we came and gave it a bearish backtest before selling off. So I think the trade is there. Once we clear above that level, we're just looking for that mark up into that 117.3 level. Now, failing to get above that, if we do have some sort of volatile reaction to the CPI and PPI news this week, we're just quite simply looking for a push down into the 107K equal lows. But I think also we can come to this structural level on BTC over here. You can see it's a very clean level at 106K. That would mean losing this demand cluster here, but really this demand cluster stretches to basically down here. You can see we had this consolidation period before breaking up. So I think a trade for me right now is if we do reject here, 107K equal lows for starters, if we get a bounce there. And if we don't, I think this 106K level is quite good. Obviously, next structural support. Also, we have a low volume node to fill in there. Obviously, the next high volume node starts just below it. And so any pullback into 106K, even a pullback into the 104K daily FVG I've discussed before, something like that, then a reclaim of that would be a long trigger targeting obviously this 112.8K level. And if we break that, 117.3, and if we break that, then I'll be targeting all-time highs and possibly beyond. I just think right now with this current price action, it's just hard to be bearish on BTC. We're holding the 4-hour trend and we keep tapping into that level. It's like a flimsy dam wall that's on its last legs. Enough water presses into it, eventually it's going to break. So I just think, we're just making higher lows currently, and we just want to make that high finally to get that push. Flicking across to ETH, hard to be bearish here as well, despite current price action. It is holding the daily trend. Daily trend has been respected very well on the way up. It's also holding this daily demand level. We're just consolidating in it, and it's very tight compression right now. So this will resolve one way or the other, but I just don't think it's a market you really want to trade just yet. If we do get a pullback, I'm just looking over here. You can see basically a very clean structural level, this 4K level, which I've discussed many times. Obviously had a very nice bounce off it. Now, if we come back into it, I'm kind of looking at this box in here. So between 4K and 3.8K, basically the next structural level down, this is a weekly demand level. I think any sort of pullback into that, this is where you want to see it bounce. So I just want to see this held as support. And as long as it does, it's really hard to be bearish in this, despite, like I said, the current local price action. Upside targets will be fresh highs if we push down into this box, but I think right now you just sort of sit on your hands and wait for some sort of resolution. ETH BTC we'll cover briefly. It's the same thing I said last week. We failed to hold above that level, this key pivot level. Now we're just rejecting below it. You can see right now where you don't really want to be in ETH. It's just sort of dragging down sideways, capped by the 4-hour trend. There's nothing really to action here. I think we start flipping the 4-hour trend and we get back above that 0.039 level. That's where you can start to sort of look for setups. But I think until then, there's just not much to do unless we get that pullback into the 4K level that I mentioned on ETH. Now onto Solana. So, we had that news yesterday, obviously reflective in yesterday's price action. I think this chart looks phenomenal right now. If we go to the monthly, we've been discussing this monthly resistance level for a long time. We did not get the close. We are now trading above it. On a weekly time frame, very strong. We have this resistance up here at like $253, give or take. So kind of we get this push up and acceptance above here. We're just looking for a markup into that level on the higher time frames. For me on the daily, all I'm looking for quite simply is a daily trend to hold. We've been going up this diagonal trend line quite nicely, respecting it the whole way. We popped above that monthly level as discussed. So I actually took a position on this yesterday in the Miles High Club, link in the description if you want to check that out. Really, if I'm looking to compound the position, which I am, I just want to pull back into that monthly level between 208 and 206, and just for the daily trend to come up and to remain to be respected. I think like locally on smaller time frames, there's the trade I took yesterday. But yeah, all I'm really looking for, the 4-hour trend is down at this level as well. So I think any sort of pullback, maybe we get it on Wednesday or Thursday with the CPI and PPI. That's really where I'm looking to compound my position, because I think this is going up to 250 now that we're starting to accept above the level. I think a weekly close will be brilliant above this level. And I think kind of what we really need to close above is probably this level here, where we sort of shifted the downtrend. So it's about $220, give or take. I think a close above 220 and 250 comes quite quick. So keep eyes on that. But I think if you're not positioned on this, quite simply look for a pullback in a 208 or 206, give or take in that region, in line with the daily trend, also in line with the 4-hour trend. Now, if we go to the Sol BTC chart, this is the weekly chart I've shared with you guys heaps. We're now starting to clear above that weekly resistance level. Also have reclaimed the weekly trend. So once again, for me, this is where all my focus is right now. I think once we start to see that break above 220 in Solana, we're going to see some rotations within the eco further down the chain. So into utility coins, into meme coins. So really my main focus is just to play Solana Strength right now. Flipping across to Sol ETH chart. So you can see we bounced off that weekly support level down at 0.04. My next sort of port of call, looking for resistance up at 0.054. So you can see we have the weekly trend up there. We also have the next weekly resistance level. So sort of diddling in the middle here, but I think, this bounce is very strong. If we go down to the daily chart, you can see the adherence to the daily trend. So this is like one of my textbook reversal setups. We bounced off the bottom, we came up, we cleared through the daily trend, we came down, tested our support, bounced up again, made a new high, once again tested support, and now we're pushing up again. So I think it's kind of difficult to long Sol right here. I think you want that pullback into the $208 region I was talking about. But in terms of playing Sol versus ETH right now, obviously the attention is rolling into Solana. So, based on the earlier Ethereum and ETH BTC charts that aren't really doing much and just chopping sideways, you can see this is a stronger market that you want to be in right now. And this is why these pair charts are so handy. So you can just compare relative strength from one coin to the other. Hype is another market I'm tracking, obviously on everyone's radar right now. We closed above the $50 range high, so that psychological number is broken now. So really all you're looking for on a trade like this is just some sort of pullback. Potentially, we did get a pullback and retest of the level overnight, which I missed because I was asleep. But now we're above that level, we're kind of looking for psychological round numbers. So 55, 60, so on and so forth. If you're looking for pullbacks on this, I just play a very simple strategy. I pull up the Key Levels Suite tool by Leviathan. I'll click on that quickly. You can see what that is here. He makes excellent indicators for free on TradingView. So kind of what I'm looking for with this strategy is I just mark out my key POIs, points of interest. So obviously we have this 4-hour demand down here. Now you can see this key level tool also maps that out as the Monday high and the previous month's high. So a bit of confluence there for a pullback. Now if I go down to the 1-hour time frame, you can also see the 1-hour trend coming up into that level. So it's hard for me to long hype right here. I don't really have any invalidation. It would be too wide. But some sort of pullback into that level here, some sort of bottoming and low time frame structure break. This swing look to pick up an entry. Obviously a stop would be breaking back inside the range. And then we're targeting those $55 and $60 targets. And just a quick look at Spaghetti chart because I went over it in the last video and had a lot of responses to it. People are very interested in it. These are the strongest horses right now. Obviously, we saw that news with Worldcoin yesterday. That has been on an absolute tear. Kaito, AI, Launchcoin, AS16Z. These are sort of the strongest horses for intraday trading. You just add them to your watch list and look for the low time frame triggers, which I just displayed on Hype with pullbacks into POIs at key levels to sort of get on board these things for trend continuation. That wraps up my market outlook and what I'm tracking right now. All eyes on Solana for the foreseeable future. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. And also the Mars High Club if you want to get access to spaghetti charts, to any of our indicators. Also the Money Noodle, which I've been using in today's analysis. Link in the description for that. Other than that, I hope you have a fantastic day and I'll catch up with you soon. Cheers.